Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at the grenade launcher because they gave it heavy pen? Who even asked for this? I don't know where the decision came to make the grenade launcher heavy pen, but we're going to be taking a look at that today. So yeah, literally it changed only the penetration level. Nothing else changed. It's exactly the same, except for now it's heavy pen. Which is fine, because it performs exactly how it would've against any of the lesser chaff enemies. But we're gonna have to talk about the elephant in the room with this weapon, which there is a lot to talk about, because giving this weapon heavy pen has unlocked a completely different new type of monster. Let's keep in mind that the grenade launcher starts with 4 mags. So, 4 magazines with 10 rounds each means you have at least 40 total rounds overall, which is a 400 times 40 equals 16k damage, or 4,000 each mag, which is a lot of damage by itself, considering you look at something like the recoilless rifle, which has 2 different firing modes. If you fire all 6 of your heat rounds, you get 20,100 damage, or if you're firing it in the HE mode, 9,300 damage. By itself, the grenade launcher can reach a pretty similar damage number, rivaling something like the recoilless rifle, and because it only takes a support weapon slot, it means it can be paired with the most powerful backpack of them all. When you take the grenade launcher and supply pack, you increase how much ammo this thing can fire. Each resupply gives 3 belts back, means you have a total of 12 magazines in the backpack by itself, which means 12 times 4,000 of the damage that each magazine receives, which has a possible damage output of 48,000. Add the 16,000 damage from the gun by itself, and you end up getting 64,000 damage, and you get the benefit of resupplying both your stims and your other weapons. Oh, and it's heavy pen! Let's do quick math. If you look at something like the HMG, it has 3 mags, 100 rounds, and 150 damage, or in this case a total damage of 45,000. Let that sink in. Arrowhead just made one of the most versatile weapons in the game, with only a few enemies at the apex of their faction being able to face off with this weapon. Otherwise, there's nothing to rival this weapon's power, especially when it's being boosted by the supply pack. So yeah, it's pretty damn strong. So let's take a look at how it fares on all the fronts. Starting off on the aluminum front, this thing is still an absolute chaff blaster. With its 400 damage and its wide explosive radius, it means it's fully capable of killing Voteless of all variants with no problem. This test right here is a good example of how wide that blast radius is. All the enemies that died were in the guaranteed kill zone of 400 damage. Even if they weren't in the one-shot radius of the grenade launcher, they will still be bleeding out towards the end. But this is a good example of how massive this weapon's blast radius is. Going up against the next enemy unit, the Overseers also don't do too much against this grenade launcher. Unfortunately for Overseers, that ballad of armor is only effective against ballistics. Unfortunately for them, explosives will bypass this armor, turning their internals into one big blue jam. Even if they utilize their shield, it's going right through and killing them. This goes for both the Crescent and Elevated Overseer variants, killing them all in 2 shots. This also makes it a perfect counter against things like flesh mobs, being able to kill them in 3 shots. Making it very stacked on this front for just clearing everything out of the way, but with that heavy pen increase, it means you could deal with something like Harvesters. Last year when I last talked about this grenade launcher, the Harvester was the only enemy this thing could not kill effectively, as you'd often get deflection hit markers. The Harvester was one of the few enemies that had a lot of XDR and heavy armor across the board, making it very difficult to get a kill. The EXDR is the explosive resistance, which means if it's 100%, it transfers directly to the main health pool, but that doesn't matter anymore. Most people would just aim around this leg joint because it was one of the only places on there that was medium armor that was easy to hit. Now if you just aim for the head of the Harvester, you can very easily kill it within 1 mag, without having to think too much about it. Since this weapon is directly attacking the main health pool, you should also keep in mind going up against Harvesters, it won't break the horn, so if its shield reactivates, you'll have to take it down again and then continue firing. This makes the Harvester one of the only enemies on this front that's still challenging for this grenade launcher to face off with. This is only a real problem when the Harvesters are in high numbers, but even then, all it takes is a little bit of footwork to take these guys down. The amount of rounds it takes can be inconsistent for killing a Harvester. Sometimes you'll spend 10 rounds killing them, sometimes you'll spend 8. It's just a matter of placement. Otherwise, they are cooked. And with the addition of it having heavy pen, it is now capable of disarming Leviathans as they fly over. And if their innards are exposed, you can even damage them. There is no real combat purpose to this because by itself you can't attack the innards, you're only able to destroy the guns. Otherwise, it's like trying to kill a titanium cow with a plastic butter knife. You'd also have to hope that the Leviathan's within range of your grenade launcher to begin with, too. Next up, we have the bug front. Congratulations, lucky viewer, because you brought the grenade launcher to the bug front, where scavengers, warriors, hunters, and hive guards cannot hurt you anymore. There is literally nothing that this grenade launcher can't do on this front, whether it be big or small. These bugs are all completely screwed. Even something like the Bile Spear can only withstand 2 shots before completely erupting everywhere. with the only bug that can withstand more than 2 shots being the Brood Commander, taking 3 rounds directly to kill it, which makes it even more effective against something like the Rupture String, because they trade off medium armor for less health, which doesn't really mean anything because you could still already one-shot them in their normal form, and since the Rupture Spears aren't any different from their normal variants, the Grenade Launcher will cleave them too. But let's move on over to the Chargers. Before this update, the only way you could really kill a Charger was by shooting the grenade around his ass to pop that sack to make it bleed out, or kill it with enough damage, which was good for when it was a situation where you could get around a Charger, but it was bad in head-ons. But with the recent change, it's as easy as shooting their side, as the Grenade Launcher has enough damage output with it layering over the Charger's body to just absolutely slaughter them. But that was me showing you how to kill it the longer way. With the Charger's yummy gooey core and this weapon's heavy penetration, it makes it so that you could just shoot the side armor of the Charger and force it into a bleed out state, severely crippling it, and you can even just leave it to bleed out, or you could just go and finish it off. Knowing that you should aim for that back crest makes it really easy to deal with high Charger situations. I've accidentally killed 2 Chargers in the smoke and I didn't even know that they were there. You just have to keep in mind that the Rupture Charger's head's a little bit harder and it might deflect some of that damage. Too bad it doesn't matter because the grenade's that powerful. And we all know that killing an Impaler is as easy as wiping your ass, but now with the heavy penetration, you can obliterate him from all directions. Taking a look at how it used to fare in the past. Against the Bile Titan, you would spend way too much ammo before you actually got to kill the Bile Titan. Wasn't impossible because he had a lot of soft parts, but let me just tell you, it was not worth it. Going up against the Bile Titan now, though, it can definitely pull its weight in a fight, but it was able to kill a Bile Titan within 12 shots, making it a flexible heavy hunter on the bug front, going from Bile Titan to Charger to Impalers. And let's move on to the bot front, where the Grenade Launcher still is carrying the game. It can completely one-shot both cyborg enemies, making these new enemies not that much of a threat. Just point, click, and blast away, while the rest of the automaton units will die around 2 shots. And yes, I know it's hard to see, but there are enemies in there, they're just getting their ass beat. Before they gave it heavy pen, in the past, you would sort of just bury Hulks, making us rely on banking explosions off of surfaces behind the Hulk to hit his backpack. But with the inclusion of heavy pen, it made it so that the Grenade Launcher had no problem, if this stupid Berserker would get out of the way, to kill it within a mag, boosting this Grenade Launcher's effectiveness. If you're facing down a Hulk, all it will take is 7 rounds to remove him from the game. However, it will still be more effective to shoot him in the back if you get the chance to. But overall, it is a pretty damn effective Hulk killer. What is he doing?
Beyblade, Beyblade, let it rip! Let's fight an epic battle!
This also applies to things like War Striders, being able to die within 1 mag. Grenade Launcher is fully capable of also disarming them. As you can see very faintly, their arms are broken. Not much has changed for the tanks. Both Annihilator and Shredder variants of the tanks require shots to the back of those vents to kill them, because their armor's still at 5. Oh, and I almost forgot, Scout Striders die in 1 shot. Which brings us to the last enemy, the Factory Strider, which we have a couple of places we could kill it at. Since the legs are heavy pen, we can damage them with the Grenade Launcher. Too bad it's like killing a cow with a butter knife, and I don't think the Factory Strider was very impressed. But it did only take a belt and a half to kill, and against the head of the Factory Strider, it took a belt and a half as well to kill it. But it's like attempting to slaughter a fully grown bovine using nothing more than a dull, utterly inadequate butter knife. Ironically, the most effective way to kill it, though, is going to be shooting in its stomach like you were shooting it when it didn't have heavy pen, so aim for that. Because it only takes 1 magazine instead. Oh! And I just want to highlight, if you're bringing this and you don't have something to counter gunships, good luck, because they are often flying out of your range for the Grenade Launcher, and you'll have to make very wide shots to try and hit them. And the reason why it's difficult is because the grenades don't have a tracer round. You'll know when you hit the gunship when they proceed to hit the ground exploding. Otherwise, you might want to bring something else. Oh, but let's talk about the enemy you don't want to fight, the Vox Engine. Reason number 1, the Grenade Launcher is not capable of breaking those machine guns. Number 2, the Vox Engine will direct all that damage right back to his main health pool. It'll also cost an insane amount of ammo to get him into the death state if you're firing at the front, but you mostly want to be hitting him in those heat sinks to really deal some damage, as they transfer directly to the health pool. My last reason is I don't think they actually die if you hit him with a Grenade Launcher. I think you still have to shoot them once in the vent to really make him explode, because on the next test against the Vox Engine, every time I hit his heat sink and get him into the death state, it would only die when I'd shoot these vents out. My best guess is either that I'm 2 grenades away, or it really only does die if you shoot it with a projectile. So that's today's homework. Go find the Vox Engine, get that Grenade Launcher, and shoot him as many times to see if he will die. Let me know if it dies from just the grenades, or if I have to shoot it with a primary. I'm just curious to see what happens for everybody else. But that's the end of the video. I do gotta say, the grenade launcher is really powerful now, but I'm not too sure why Arrowhead decided to buff this weapon specific. I mean, they have full war bonds with skins for a vehicle that isn't doing too good right now. I said update the mechs, Arrowhead buff the grenade launcher. And I'm usually a guy who focuses on how the weapon performs more than talking about balance, but I wouldn't be surprised if they suddenly just reverted this change. But they really should upgrade these mechs. Sweet liberty, they're so fragile right now. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let Arrowhead know that our vehicles are fragile as fuck.